conferences either this year, next year, or thereabouts. And their deal with Fox and ESPN expires in 24. So the timing for all of this probably is ideal, just in terms of how much money is sitting out there. And that's the biggest nut that they have to crack. And that's why the LA schools left, is because the Big Ten will pay them twice as much, probably even more, once the new deal is negotiated with the Big Ten, than what they can make with the Pac-12. The Pac-12 has been in disarray, to be kind, for years now, and did not have good leadership, and certainly did not have forward thinking in their strategy.
Which brings us to Larry Scott, the former commissioner. It is now, I think, an understanding. He started the Pac-12 network. That has not gone well. It's not even in the same realm as BTN is. Mark, supposedly ESPN offered to take over the Pac-12 network in exchange for an extension of the Pac-12 contract, and Scott said no. What, A, is that true? And B, what has that led in terms of to the problems they have today?
Well, I don't know that that's true. I have no information about that. If that is true, that was a big misstep, obviously, especially when you start talking about this, and nobody seems to know what it was, this alliance between the Big Ten, Pac-12, and the ACC, which is irrelevant, right? But anyway, I think that if it's true or not, it doesn't matter, because it's indicative of all the other missteps, from moving the Pac-12 headquarters into this really expensive property in downtown San Francisco, which I'm sure you know is the most expensive city on the West Coast or thereabouts, to the current situation of none of the Pac-12 schools, really, except maybe Oregon, and the conference as a whole, have no idea what to do with NIL. You've got, Alabama leading the way, as they do in all things, to what's going on conference by conference, where they are really, kind of circling the wagons and making payments to athletes up and down the roster of as many sports as you can name. And the Pac-12, they're kind of twiddling their thumbs. And I just think of Phil Knight up there in Oregon, looking at, Rome burning and saying, we got to get the heck out of here, because nobody knows what they're doing out here.
Yeah, Phil Knight, who is obviously the largest owner at Oregon, and unbeknownst to a lot of people, is one of the largest, if not the largest, athletic donor at Stanford. It has to be wondering. But now let's get to, as what I refer to now, when these things happen, like Texas and Oklahoma last year, everybody was rumored to go everywhere, so I call it the silly season. So now let's get to this. It's now a question of survival. Going from the WAC to the Pac-10, or the Pac-8 at the time, was critical for Arizona and Arizona State. Now they're sitting there, and there have been rumors about the Big 12. How do you see it?
What we're hearing off the record is that that's not anywhere close to not only a done deal, but where they want to go, even though it makes sense up and down, your pro and con list, right? It's much more pro than con. I think they like a lot of what the Pac-12 is supposed to stand for. Things like what we call the Olympic sports, the non-revenue sports, not football, not men's basketball, essentially. They like that the Pac-12, and, they have that ridiculous title, the Conference of Champions. Mm-hmm. But there is truth to that. They win a lot of championships. Arizona